Today's market plunge taking the S&P 500 negative for the year. All the gains, they're gone. Energy, tech, consumer leading the sell-off. So what are you doing with your money following a day like today, Guy Adami?
Yes, sir.
If anything, because somebody, a lot of somebodies, were selling.
Well, I think you have to understand, and we talk about this, markets go down a lot faster than they go up. So I don't think today is all that surprising in the context of what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks and the last few months. With that said, to answer your question, what do you do? Well, you have to sort of draw your line in the sand, because as much as we all root for sell-offs to buy things cheaper, when they come, they never feel the way you want them to feel. They always seem to be scarier. Try to take emotion out. Now, let's talk about a name like Microsoft, for example. And I go back to February 11th, and we talked about it. Had a huge move to the upside, traded at an all-time high at 190.5 or so, reversed and closed lower that day on huge volume. And we said, that's as textbook a reversal as you're going to see. What's next? Well, what's next is look for a level to buy it. 162 gives you sort of a level that we bounce from. The same thing with Apple we've talked about. Figure out what your levels are, draw that line in the sand, and buy the stocks when they get there. In terms of S&P, and Steve may or may not agree with me, but 3,030 is a level. That's about 200 S&P.
But I want to give you a big shout out, because I know that you guys have been doing this for years and you take a lot of heat. People say you're cheerleading the markets. I think it was 2 weeks ago, a week ago, where I said we wake up one day and coronavirus has 100 cases in America or spread around the world. What happens to the market? I believe, as you guys said, the Dow falls 1,000 points.
Well, it doesn't, I think
that was your, by the way, that was your exact quote, and the Dow fell 1,031
a lot
today.
more than I'm right. But, we also talk about a couple things. What levels in the volatility index make sense for a market bottom? We'll talk about that later with Julian Emmanuel. And I'll say it again. Unfortunately, I didn't think this coronavirus was anywhere near being contained, and now we're finding out it's not. But I'll also say this. A lot of things that have been moving were moving way ahead of any time coronavirus was even a thought in anybody's mind.
Steve Grasso, we talked to you on Power Lunch earlier today. You're down at the NYSE, and what we need to remember about markets is that for every seller, there must be a buyer. There is a buyer. There were people, as much as today was bad,
right?
There were buyers somewhere, I presume, stepping in. What was the mood today? What was the feel in the trade?
So in the morning, what you always want to look at as a trader is where is the panic and is there any panic? And this morning, I felt for the first time in a very, very long time, because this market has let everything roll off its back, I felt as if there was some element of panic during the opening session for the first half hour to play. Then you watch people sort of bottom fish, and then it failed. That's the problem with bottom fishing, is that when it fails, to Guy's point, everyone wants the market to sell off. But then when it sells off, you get a chance to buy them, so you nibble, and then you get run over again.
Are you talking about
bail.
like 2:45? Because remember, margin calls tend to hit, about 2:30 p.m.?
Right.
And I wondered, even though margin calls generally for people when the markets go up and they're short, that there's going to be some activity there. The market came up 200-some points off its low. That's what you're talking about. It tried to claw back and failed. What does that tell you?
What happens is, because it's too early now, everyone's trying to reassess and say, maybe we haven't factored in what this whole coronavirus, to the true extent it could have an effect on the overall market. So you throw out all those growth names that are fluffy, or in the market's idea are fluffy. You try to buy them back, and then you cross your fingers and you hope. And when you're wrong, you get so nervous you throw everything out that you just rebought.
What'd you do today, Karen?
I didn't do a lot, really. Mostly I just watched. The one thing I did, I was short some J.P. Morgan calls. I covered those, but I am very long J.P. Morgan and very long the bank. So, this isn't a good day P&L-wise, but I do think there's opportunities that I didn't buy anything so significant today. I'd kind of like to see us come in tomorrow off of a bad overnight markets and have a big whoosh down, and then really start look to buying.
You want to see more losses tomorrow?
I do.
Because we ended just off our lows.
Right. I think I would like to see that. I think most of today's move was coronavirus, but not entirely. I think if you look at the SMH, right? I know, it's sold off the last couple days, but that has been almost straight up. So it happened to be coronavirus. I think there would be something that would take some of the froth off of a lot of these stocks. So I'd like to see it come in tomorrow.